Hey, right on folks, John Crane here, and this is part 7 of the tile shower build series. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how I put the tile on the shower floor. It's a nice hexagon pattern tile. I'm also going to show you how I put in the Schluter drain system. And be sure to follow along with the playlist. I'll put a link to the playlist in the description, and you can follow along with this whole series. I put all this tile on, the lighting, the whole 9 yards. All right, let's get busy with the video. All right, I'm just starting to lay out the floor tile here in the shower, and this is what I'm using is this hexagon pattern tile. This is 2.5 inch hex. And so I got the laser out. I'm running a line equal distance off of the back wall, and I'm trying to get the drain to line up, with some cuts here and make this look nice without having too many cuts. Now what I'm using is the Schluter drain system. So this is a pretty cool drain system that they have here. This pops into this little ring, and then this ring slides over this, and then it gets set down into some thin set. I'll show you that when I get there. But there is quite a bit of movement, adjustability I should say, in where you can set the drain. So that's pretty cool with this system. So I'm thinking this is going to end up right around here. I'm laying this out. This is great to do with the laser. Make sure it's equal distance off the back and the front. And then I'm going to end up cutting a bunch of small half hexagon tiles here to go along the side. Now, I'm making sure that I have a good size gap all the way around. You definitely don't want this tight to the walls. Okay, and here I am just double checking, making sure my tile is nice and straight. And I'm laying out this drain here with a Sharpie. I'm just drawing directly onto the tile. And when I cut this out, I want to make sure I leave an 1/8 inch gap all the way around the drain to allow for grout. Now the grout that I'm going to use for this floor is the Latacrete Spectralock 1, and you'll see that in a later episode on this tile series. I have all the videos in this tile shower series in a playlist, so it is easy for you to follow along for the entire process. Here I'm just cutting away the mesh backing, or freeing up these tiles from the mesh backing, so I can now slide this over the edge, and I can easily cut these two inner hexagon tiles with the tile saw. You can also do this with a handheld angle grinder with a tile diamond cutting blade on it. Alright, so as far as this Schluter drain assembly goes, you take this little piece of ABS that they provide, and you just snap that onto the bottom, right? So it's like a friction fit. And then they have this right here for embedding down into the thin set. That's what these holes are for. But this is where your adjustability comes in, is that you can slide this up and down, depending on the thickness of your tile. We'll put this down into our drain, push this down a little bit, and then you see the flexibility that you get here. That's pretty good. You can move this around to different positions, get this lined up where you want it with the tile. So that is looking pretty darn nice right there. I will have some little pieces of tile that I'll have to put right here, but that will be fine. The sun is shining, it's a beautiful day, and this shower floor is going to turn out awesome. All right, folks, it's time to set the shower floor. So you can see I've got all the tile laid out all the pieces. These are all little individual pieces that will go back in. And you can see here, I've got this line with a Sharpie on the floor of the shower, but that's gonna get covered with thin set. So what I have is the laser level sitting here on the niche shelf, and it's just projecting a line right where all the tips of these tiles are gonna touch. So I can lay down the thin set, right, and put these tiles right back in. So the process I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull out one row at a time, maybe two if I get cooking here. And I am using, for this tile is 2 1/4 inch. This is a 3/16 by 3/16 notch trowel. So that's the height of the thin set that I'm gonna use. And then I will pack this down, not pack it down, just flatten it out with this grout trowel here, this rubber float, and just make sure this is all flat. Here is the drain. I have to set that in thin set. I'll show you how I do that in a second. All right, I got the thin set almost ready to roll. Got to give it one more mix and then we'll set this time. All right, here we go. Just pull these sections back like this. You can see these are some small thin sections I have down there. And I'm telling you folks, you're gonna want some smooth jazz on in the background or whatever your favorite music is. But I'm telling you, you're gonna wanna lay this down with some good intentions and some good loving. You know, when you do that, everything goes nice and smooth. If you're kind of aggravated or upset or it's not going good, the details don't look too good. But if you got some good tunes going, you're feeling good, get some sunshine in the eyes, go for a little walk, come back, spread some thin set, it's all gonna go nice. All right, now this Schluter drain, when you put this in, you wanna embed this ring into the thin set, then you also wanna have some thin set to support the underside of this metal drain piece here. So you have to build up some thin set under here, but not too much that you have a big volcano of thin set coming out when you tamp it down. All right, so I'm gonna set this down into our thin set. See how that all squeezes out through the holes very nicely. Alright, now I'm going to put a little thin set under the drain. So when this sits down in there, we get a nice bond. And I'm trying to be careful of the height. I'm looking at the floor. I'm looking at the tile and I'm trying to judge the right height for the thin set under the drain. Alright, now with my trowel, I'm going to try to be nice and flat and just drag right along the sides. Partly because the thin set is a little bit deeper, it's a little bit thicker, closer to the drain because the drain sinks in right here, and I'm trying to get this nice and leveled out. Alright, now with that laser line, I'm going to drop this set of tile right in and get that to land. And I also have this laser line running right down the middle of these tiles here, so I know exactly where this tile should lay. These lasers are great. Now I don't want to push too hard just yet. I'm going to get all the tiles in and then I'll work it. Push this down into the thin set. I'm starting to get a little bit of squeeze out. You ever chew any of that neuro gum? Sometimes if I need a little concentration, I need some focus, I'll chew some of that neuro gum. It's good in a situation like this. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I'll put a link in the description. Check out the neuro gum. I don't know, it's got some B vitamins, something like that in there, maybe a little caffeine. Give a little pep in your step. All right, before I tamp this down too much, I'm just taking a screwdriver. Just taking a little bit of this thin set out of the crack, just so it doesn't make a huge mess. All right, now I'm going to use the rubber float. Just tap these down into place. This row in the back, this is one that you want to be really flat. So when you put the tiles in, you know, all these edges here, you want this to be nice and flat so you have a nice straight line when you cut this bottom tile in, or when I cut this bottom tile in. I want the drain just to be slightly below. This is a part that I want to take a lot of time, make sure I get this just right. I want that water flowing into the drain. You don't want that drain to be high at all. I bet you don't, Panama Red. Not too low, but not too high. Alright, I like to pull out a couple rows just to make the thin set go a little easier. I got the laser set up right there. Start troweling on some thin set. I think I'll just drag it right over the edge till it falls in place. Gently set it into the thin set. Like that. Looking beautiful. I like to keep everything nice and clean as I'm going, so I'm giving everything a nice wipe down with a sponge. Keep changing the water out and get it nice and clean. You don't want to be chipping any thin set later. And it's good to go back and tweak those tiles right now, because you won't be able to tweak them later. And when you're standing in your shower and you're looking down at the floor and you're like, oh man, these are all a mess. So this is the time right here to take your time, make sure everything is nice and straight. All right on, folks. This was part 7 in the tile shower build series. This floor just came out absolutely fantastic. In part 8, I'll be showing how I put the tile on the ceiling. That is an episode you won't want to miss. That's pretty cool. But look at this hexagon tile. I really like how this turned out. And here, of course, I'm putting the perimeter tile around on the bottom row. And then I put some silicone caulk in the corner all the way around. Look at that shower floor. It just looks excellent. I've been using this shower for a while, and it feels really good. All right, I hope you guys are doing great. I'll see you all soon in the next episode when I do that ceiling. All right on. Watch your top knot.